step back for your team after the two really encouraging results in the previous fortnight?
Well, that's what football's like, isn't it? You know, if it was easy and you could win every week, it'd be great. But it's not. It's tough, and nice of you, Doc. I thought we'd give ourselves a lot to do. I thought we started really well. I thought the second half had a real go at them, but it wasn't enough for me, and I think we got what we deserved today.
But one or two of the players, maybe more than one or two of the players, not quite at their best today. Players who performed really well for you in the last couple of games, not quite as good today.
No, they weren't. I mean, we just talked tonight about consistency. You know, we looked a very, very good team last week. We did some good things. We were very positive. We got what we deserved. But it's about putting it all together and coming away from home and coming to places like this and digging out results. And we didn't do that. I don't feel we deserve to get anything out of that today.
And the away form, Aidy, it's a bit of a contrast, isn't it? Now you haven't lost at home since September, but away from home, 8 defeats in 9, very few goals. It's away from home where you're really struggling to find points.
Well, I mean, Tim, let's be frank about it. I think at home and away, really for us at the moment, it's important that we put points on the board. We did that last week. We needed to follow it up with getting something here, and we got a difficult away game on Tuesday. So, whether we're home or away, it's important that we perform to the best of our abilities. And unfortunately, today we had too many players not at the same levels, as you quite rightly point out, that they were a week ago.
Can you explain why certain players weren't at their best today? Because you'd have thought they'd have gone into this game with a lot of confidence after those encouraging results.
Well, yeah, because they're human beings. I mean, you know, Hartlepool deserved what they got. They played a very, very similar system to Fleetwood. Everything we talked about and worked on and that worked, to be blunt, you know, gave us problems today. The little player in the pocket, Poole and James, we didn't deal with him, and you know, this is the irritating thing for me, is that we've already played against a very similar system, against a better team really, and we've beaten them, and yet we come here away from home and we're found wanting.
A slight issue of contention, certainly about the second goal, if not the first one as well. Let's talk about the second one first of all. The penalty awarded, we're not sure for what. It looked to me as if Widdowson probably got the ball in denying Paul his run on goal. What was the penalty given for? How contentious in your view was it? Well, look, I'm not going to make excuses. I've said my piece on what I think about the referees this year, and you know, he's paid to make a decision. He made a decision, and we should never. The way I look at it is, how could we stop it getting into our box? What happened? You know, the first goal comes from one of our counter attacks, and the second goal comes because we don't do what we're supposed to do, and our passing goes awry, and we don't lock onto people. So you're not going to comment on the fact that it's the same referee that potentially let you down at Bristol Rovers by not giving you a couple of penalties in that game?
No, I'm not, Tim, because you know I'm not. What I think is important now is that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Are we disappointed? Yeah, of course we are. Very, very disappointed, because we all I ask of any of the players or any of the staff is to be the best that they can be, and we've had that the last few weeks. But today we didn't get it. That's not all of them. You know, some good performances, but the result is the be-all and end-all for us, and we've got to look at it and say, well, what have we got to do to rectify that, and we'll get back to work to it straight away.
And the positives from today's game, players that you thought did well for you?
I thought Paul Reed was excellent. I thought young Dan Hamilton was superb. Looking around after that, really, Joe did okay. Matt was. You know, I'm sort of thinking in my mind that you were looking at 5s and 6s out of 10, when really, if you're going to perform, you've got to be at the upper ends. You've got to be at 7s, 8s, 9s and 10s. And you know, every player to a man was at that last week and the week before. Whereas today we just were prepared absolutely professionally for it. Trained at Doncaster. You know, yesterday looked very good, and today we didn't respond to the weapons that Hartlepool have got.
The last time you lost away from home at Plymouth, you were clearly angry with some of your players and you made changes. Can we expect to see you make changes ahead of the match at Chesterfield on Tuesday?
Possibly, yeah. I think it's something I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at the game again, and I'm going to analyse it and reflect. You know, I think we took a massive steps forward the last few weeks, and I don't think that it's all doom and gloom. Certainly don't. But I have got a squad. I've got too many players, and so there are players that can come in and do a job. But that's the rule for competition, and I think we need to have a chat with the players and make sure that we focus on Chesterfield and we get back to what we did so well last week.
Chris Hackett, a big miss today. I know you're very keen to play him. He's coming back from injury. How much did you miss him today on the wing?
Well, yeah, we did miss him. We did miss him because he's an outlet for us. But these are the things I've got to balance. The Clive Platts and the Chris Hacketts. I don't want them to get into a situation where they're struggling. And they missed 4 or 5 games, so it was thought best thing to do was to rest him to make sure he's right for Tuesday. So we'll assess him tomorrow and see how he is.
You did have a lot of players available to. It meant that 1 or 2 players, established pros, didn't get a place even on the bench.
Yeah.
De Montignac and Carter noticeable among them. Presumably your message to them to get themselves back into the equation is to be good professionals, work hard and prove they're worthy of a place at least on the bench.
Well, yeah, they are good professionals. I don't have a problem with any of the players in that regard. But when you look at our players, I know that we've got some new loan players in, but we have proved that we can beat the best in the division. And when I get that and that response, then it fills me with a lot of hope and a lot of heart. But then you come to a result like this, and you know that players are not not performing. They're giving their all, but they're not doing what we did last week as a team. So the lads like Darren and Ishmael, they come back into contention, and plus tactically, I've got to look at the bench and see which team we're playing and what I might think might make a difference. Should they need to go on.